Well, I think, look, we just saw the president with the State of the Union give a very strong and forceful address where he shut the place down. I mean, he was the last person to leave the room. And right after the debate, he did the same with a rally in North Carolina, or at a rally in Atlanta, and then the next day at a rally in North Carolina. And so I don't think this one debate is evidence that he is cognitively impaired. You need to look at the totality. But what I do know is Donald Trump is unfit to be president. He has proven time and time again that he can't tell the truth. He probably doesn't know the truth. He only has his vision for what the truth is. And he was a disastrous president, and he would be a disaster again. And I think most of the voters that I've talked to when I'm out in not only Virginia, I was in Michigan over the weekend, that's what they're focused on, is who is going to be the best president to move this country forward.
So is it unfair for me to say the examples that you're citing are examples where the president is working off a teleprompter? Yeah, at the State of the Union, he goes off for a minute or two, but he's generally working off a teleprompter. The rally in North Carolina, he's working off a teleprompter. And more importantly, the public has lost faith, right? I mean, you see a poll like 72% of Americans don't think that he can do it. At what point do Democrats say, wow, well, even though we believe, you believe, that he can, he should be elected, if the voters don't feel that way, at what point do you pull the plug?
Well, I'll push back on that, because there was a poll that came out right after the debate that showed that rather than being tied, he was ahead one. So
But you know winning nationally doesn't win you the Electoral College, right? I mean, the bottom line is Hillary Clinton won by 3. Biden had to win by 4+ in the national vote. And in the battleground states, you look at the aggregation of the polls in the battleground states, and he's losing by quite a bit even before the debate.
Well, and I think he's going to win at the end of the day, because he's got a very robust field program on the ground, talking to voters, meeting them where they are, talking about the issues that matter to them, talking about the ability of not just the president, but his administration to continue moving this country forward, whereas the former president will move this country towards a dictatorship remade in MAGA's image, where he will go after his political opponents for retribution, and the American people don't want that.
Well, but the polls don't suggest that that's true, right? I mean, that's the concern, I would think, on your part, would be that you believe that, but the American public isn't convinced of that, and you throw onto that the concerns about the president's health, and it just would seem to me there'd be a more open-minded possibility that maybe someone else should be the candidate in the end. Final word on that?
Joe Biden is our candidate. Kamala Harris is our candidate for vice president. They're going to win this November. We're going to do everything in our power to make sure that we meet the voters where they are with a very robust field program to get them out to vote. And I believe at the end of the day, they're going to be reelected.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your cable provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.